How's it going, everybody? Well, probably not too good if you're a Yankees fan. The Yankees came one John Carlos Stanton line drive away from being no-hit today. That's pretty ugly. It's pretty ugly. So prepare to air your grievances. You might notice I have a little bit of a different format, a little bit of a different layout tonight. I've been working on rebuilding everything. It's not just switching from basically all post-game reactions to, morning shows and things like that and pre-games. I'm rebuilding everything on the back end. I'm having my house rewired for faster internet so that I can do more live streams. And I'm coming up with some other fresh ways to deliver content fast that I think people will enjoy. So I would love to hear what you guys have on your mind. Dragon Tamer says, Yankees, 44 wins, 42 losses. Yes, they're just 2 games over 500 right now. You really needed to win this game. I mean, you really needed to win this game and then the next 3 in Houston. It's just not looking good right now for a playoff spot. I suppose anything's possible. The Mets came back from 18 games down in August one year. The Yankees came back from like 15 down or something like that in 78. So it can happen, but Lori C is right. That was embarrassing. Elliot Johnson's a fan of the new layout. Appreciate that, guys. Yeah, I wanted to bring highlights back, and that will come once I get the new internet connection, the wired internet. I'll be able to deliver things that don't get interrupted, so I'll be able to put highlights down here in this bottom corner if I want. I'm trying to make everything very simple. You guys might notice I change up my layouts a lot. It's because I'm always trying to find something that works really good, but I feel like I'm narrowing it in on a lot of areas. I've got this book here where I'm writing out the different types of content that I want to provide. Basically, after games, the Frieze. Mornings will be morning Yanks after wins so we can award the belt. Pre-game live streams, and I'm looking to give those a visual upgrade, add a stable connection, and I'm going to get a better microphone. I'm going to get the Joe Rogan mic. And then 643 DP clips on Wednesday. Short topical videos, as always, rumors, player-centric profiles, prospect profiles, trades, and then, watch parties on occasion. So that I'm basically trying to, as the channel gets bigger, I'm trying to organize my content in a way that I can do it around my schedule, that I have a full-time job, and still generate the kind of money that's going to allow this channel to grow and become, a full-time gig for me. So that it's very strategic what I'm working on. So I appreciate everybody's patience. Leon Yaroslavsky, great name, says a disappointing loss. A sweep would have been great.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Sweep would have been necessary, I think. Freezama says, this team doesn't need a rebuild, just leadership. I'm going to say I agree.
Yes, I agree.
I do think they need some new leadership, but I also think they need some pieces. I wouldn't call it a rebuild. I don't know if the Yankees need to rebuild so much as they need to retool. Lori C says, maybe the second wild card if another team collapses. It's always good to have to pin your hopes on another team collapsing. Elliot Johnson, Yankees offense is heating up. Every Yankees fan before 1 p.m. today. Yeah, so that's why I put a question mark on it yesterday. That was kind of the subject of last night's pregame was, is the Yankees lineup actually heating up, or was it going to go to crap once we faced a lefty? Once we faced a righty. And we got the answer to that, unfortunately, today in quick order. That boy Dre says, Yankees are out here causing high blood pressure. I'll tell you what, man, I feel you. That's one of the reasons that I stopped doing live post games immediately following every game. I'm not a person who likes to be in a bad mood or likes to rant. And I found myself just being too upset. Like, it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like in rage mode. And I'm trying to go to sleep. I end up not being able to sleep for a few hours. So it makes more sense for me to do what I did today, which is record the Frieze, which is like a 20-minute podcast. I'll record it during the game. It won't always have the full, 9-inning recap, but it'll have a lot of details from the game. And I'll record it, and I'll put it out after the game. And then in the morning, I'll do the highlights and the belt awarding, and then we can do live streams one-off like this, and then also prior to every Yankee game. Matthew Phelps says 1 hit.
It's awful.
Cameron Lewandowski, great name, says Yanks went from 18 hits in game 1 to 1 hit in game 3. They actually had 10 hits in game 2 also. So it goes to show you that there's something to the righty-lefty, lefty-righty matchup. Yankees have a team built on right-handed hitters. So when they face lefties, if they're playing well, of course they're going to play well against a lefty. But when they face a righty, they don't have that balance. Everybody, like this guy today had an unbelievable slider. When you have a team full of righties, they're not going to do much with it. It's just the team is just built wrong. Justin Infante likes this layout the best. I do too. I'm not a designer. I had to basically arrive at this. When I first started this, I didn't need a spot for a sponsor. I didn't need a spot for the belt. So I kind of, I had highlights up and things like that. But now, it's more modular, and I know what I need. And I know that a lot of what I put on the screen is going to be, comments. And so I wanted to leave room for that right beneath my picture there. Micah says, Stanton pisses me off, hits a laser in the first game. Then today looks like he has no idea what he's doing. Glasses, maybe? Stanton actually had the only hit today. He had a double. So you're getting a clown horn. Let's see. Fritz Walter says, 1 hit, bringing in Odor as a pinch hitter says everything. Ugh. Yeah, Odor is not typically a guy you want to go to when you need a hit. He's got a little bit of power. He's a decent infielder. He's got a little bit of speed. I like his energy that he brings, but he's not a hitter. I mean, he's not a line drive type of guy. He's got a big loopy swing. Somebody says, great question, Lori. So Lori says, is Gilbert that good or were we really that bad? Well, first of all, Gilbert pitched a really good game today. I don't think he's always that good. But that's something, you know how we kind of make bad pitchers look good sometimes? It's because the lineup looks so similar batter after batter after batter, right? A pitcher can get into a groove. That's what I've been saying, and that's what David Cohn says about lanes. As a pitcher, and Brian Cashman will never understand this because he's not a pitcher. He's never been a pitcher. He's never had to pitch against a good lineup that can crush you. When you're pitching, if you're seeing the same type of hitter over and over again, it kind of like narrows your vision and it gets you into an arm slot rhythm, and you start to get into a good feel of the baseball. You start to get into a good rhythm. You develop lanes. You can get used to throwing, if you're throwing that slider down and away over and over and over and over again to every hitter, of course you're going to get a feel for it. You're a professional. You can tell if you're pulling it a little too much or if you're leaving it arm side a little bit too much. But when you mix in a couple of different, a couple of lefties that can hurt you, and I'm not talking about Brett Gardner here, who's hitting 187 or something like that. When you mix in somebody that can do actual damage, it forces you to go to a different pitch. You have to now move something that goes away. Because if you throw that slider, it's right into the lefty's happy zone. So, pardon me for just thinking that it's roster construction. That's part of the reason that guys like Gilbert can get into a groove. So that is a great question. Kyle Childress Nations 13 says, love your podcast, dude. Keep it up. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jaden Sanchez says, why did we trade for Odor? He's a complete waste of money. He actually doesn't even make that much money. Texas is paying him to play against us. Smoothie Chevy says, the inconsistency is jarring. I know. It's the inconsistency that drives me nuts, because these 2 good games in a row get you feeling good, and then the team gets 1 hit. Leon Yaroslavsky says, did you ever thought working Yes Network especially during the Yankee season. Would I like to work at Yes Network? I would love to work for Yes Network if they came asking, but I have a full-time job. It's a good job. I'm doing, what I need to do to survive. I get to work from home. And right now, this is just a side gig, but I'm trying to design it to a level and give myself the tools. Like, my internet sucks. It just sucks. I'm trying to build myself some better internet, give myself some better tools so that I have a fighting chance at providing great content. Like, I watch Patrick stream and it never goes out. I want that kind of stability in my streams. So I'm trying to give myself the tools. I already have put in the work to build an audience. We have like 14,400 subscribers now, 3.5 million views. From now on, I have a chance to shape content in the way that I want to shape it. I had to work my ass off to get to this point, but now that I have an audience, I can shape the content in a way that I think is really good. And that means a really good pregame show, something long and that people will watch for a long time after the games because I can put them up every night. So when I do one of those episodes of the Frieze, people watch for like 10 or 15 minutes. Whereas if I do like a live stream like this, people watch for like 2 to 5 minutes. And if you know anything about YouTube, the longer people watch for, the more YouTube shows it in search results. So that's kind of what I want to move the Frieze to the after the game special. And I'm not going to do it every single day. I'm going to do it most days, though. I'm going to do it most days. And then the morning Yankees, there's not a lot of Yankees content that comes out in the morning. So all I have to do to beat everyone else is get up first thing in the morning, ready to work, ready to kick ass. And so that's what I do. And so hopefully this, I appreciate the kind words, and I hope that this will catch on. THD Wicked 50 Cal says, for your next prospect profile, can you please do Josh Smith? He's, in my opinion, criminally underrated by Yankees fans. A mini DJ LeMahieu. You got it, THG, because you're such a good mod. Saturday morning, I will do a prospect profile for Josh Smith. I don't have a lot of footage of him, so it might not be the most visually appealing, but I'll go through all of his scouting reports and all that stuff, and I'll come up with something good for you. Rosie 1 billion says Gardner is a joke at this point. Look, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yes, I agree.
Who thinks Gardy should retire? Go ahead and type hashtag retire. Or hashtag Gardy retire, whatever you want. Elliot says Derek's internet is almost as inconsistent as the Yankees. So I've been running off of Wi-Fi. When I started this whole thing, I didn't plan on doing any live streaming. But I did a couple of live streams during the playoffs last year, and it went crazy. People loved it. So I was like, well, I'm going to mix that into the channel. And so every year is a learning process. My outline for myself is to do NYY Recaps, kind of like we're doing this season, just different content every season for 5 or 6 years, and then turn it into something bigger and better. Once we get to like 100,000 subscribers or something like that, I might be able to do like a weekly 2 or 3 hour show with like a celebrity or something. That's kind of where we're going. Lafayette says Gallo is too expensive. Keep the prospects. I would love to see Gallo as a Yankee at this point. I'm not going to lie. We're so close. Gallo is the type of lefty that I was talking about that is a real threat. He is a swing and miss guy, though, but he's a good defender, and he's got real power. At Yankee Stadium, he'll hit pop-ups that go out of the ballpark all the time. He would be a 50 home run guy, I think, as a Yankee. Bruce Lee says Jack Curry explained what was wrong with Glaber. He said that he was trying to swing for the fences all the time. He was hitting the ball on the ground and needs to get it in the air because he's powerful. I did a video on Glaber Torres a couple of months ago, really. It was probably like 6 weeks ago. Go back and watch it. It's everything wrong with Glaber Torres' swing. I broke it down. You can see when he fouls a ball off and runs towards first base because he's so off balance, that tells you something. That tells you that all of his motion, all of his momentum is moving towards left field. Everything that he's generating from his backside through his hips is expanding out past the point where his body can take it. So the brain's natural reflex to balance his body is to shift his momentum the opposite direction. Equal and opposite. And because he was swinging so hard, the equal and opposite reaction is quite strong. And so he falls back across home plate. It's easy to see from his foul balls. I don't know why Marcus Timms can't see it. Maybe he did see it. Maybe he did see it. But maybe Glaber just can't fix it. Danny Corner said something I really agree with. He says, we need a power lefty and a contact lefty.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a couple of contact lefties, too. I wouldn't mind it. Lori C says, Yankees would probably ruin Gallo, too. Ouch. Owen Sandy says, I found this on a website for 2022 lineup. Ketel Marte, I'm guessing center field. LeMahieu, Corey Seager, Aaron Judge, Michael Conforto, Giancarlo Stanton in left field. You lost me there. Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela. Stanton can't play the outfield. He can't play the outfield. He can barely get around to second base. Did you see today's game? It was embarrassing for him. He roped one off the left field wall and could barely get around the bases. He hit it to the fence. And it took him like a half hour to get to second base. I was worried that he was going to get thrown out at second. And I think if he just turns it on, he's going to pull something. And I think he knows it. Because every time that he turns it on, he pulls a muscle. So they basically told him, just take it easy. So I see left field Giancarlo. Okay, so it's not showing it as a list here. So you're saying Conforto in left and then Giancarlo at DH. Well, that I could see. So LeMahieu would be playing first. And then Seager at shortstop. Okay, I get it. Judge and right. Okay, I get it. So yeah, Stanton at DH. Yeah, I could see that. I like that lineup. NYY Bleacher Creature says one trade target for a bullpen could be Pat Cishek. I've always liked Pat Cishek. He's kind of like Darren O'Day. He's kind of like a submarine style pitcher. He's got a lot of movement. I like guys who have a lot of movement out of the bullpen, who can create a lot of sink. The Who says we don't need Gallo. We have enough guys that can strike out 200 times in a season. You're not wrong.
Just a bit outside.
Teddy Castellucci says, I really regretted signing Stanton. Derek Jeter played us. He straight up played us. He played Brian Cashman like a fiddle. He knew that Brian Cashman could not resist Giancarlo Stanton. Daniel Mancini says, do you think the Yankees will get Jose Barrios? If I had to bet, I would say no. I think other teams will need him more than the Yankees need him because I honestly think the Yankees are going to end up selling. I can't see them playing well against the Astros this weekend. Maybe, but the Astros are a really good team. They're a really good team. If the Yankees can sweep the Astros, they might still be in a position to buy. But if you lose 2 out of 3 or get swept by the Astros, you enter the All-Star break under 500 possibly. At that point, you have to sell. You're playing the Red Sox and the Rays, and you haven't acquired anybody. If Brian Cashman doesn't get anybody before that Red Sox series after the break, then he's not going to get anybody. He's not going to go for it. It's just lip service. Arben Shej says, sorry to break it to you guys, but Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar are not going to get us anyone. Frazier is at an all-time low. I don't think he's tradable right now because of the concussion stuff. Andujar, I think, still has some value. He can still hit. Although if you look at his OPS numbers, they're not that good. He's not hitting doubles this year. I was looking at his stats a couple days ago. He had 47 doubles in 2019, I think it was, or 2018 maybe, whenever it was, his rookie year. He had 47 doubles, and they were like, a third of his hits. This year, I think he has 2 doubles. He's hit some home runs. Danny Corner says, where is SB Games? I agree.
Yes, I agree.
In fact, we haven't gotten a single dono tonight. I'm not asking for donos, but it did strike me as odd. Daryl Leon says, we really need Gallo with a career average of .213, then we are doomed. So the Yankees don't really value batting average. I do. I think that there's something to getting hits, getting on base a lot, and moving runners. You know, when you walk, you don't really move runners. It's a station-to-station thing. So I like batting average, and I like sprinkling in some high average guys. I still don't mind those 3 true outcome type guys, but in moderation. You can't have an entire team of 3 true outcome guys. I love Luke Voit as an offensive player. I think he's an amazing offensive player. But if you had a lefty hitting behind him who could make contact and beat the shift, well, then you got to pitch to him. You can't just walk him and then try and get a double play out of Giancarlo or whoever's hitting behind him. Alex Torres says Yankees need to sell, call up some prospects like Hoy Jun Park or Trey Ambergy and see what they can do in the majors. I agree.
Yes, I agree.
Andrew Thomasone says Giancarlo Stanton, bodybuilder, not an athlete.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I'm That Guy says lots of rumors about trading Judge. Think there's any truth to it? I talked about this on the 643 DP podcast with Patrick last night. I don't think the Yankees are going to trade Judge, but I'd have a real hard time giving him a massive contract in a couple of years. He's got to stay healthy for a couple of years and put up big numbers. And I'm still not signing him to a 7, 8, 9-year deal. Sorry. I don't want Judge past the age of 35 as a full-time player that gets a large commitment of money. You want to sign him till he's 34? Be my guest. 20-something million? If he'll do that, let's do it. But he's not getting $30 million a season out of me. THG Wicked 50 Cal says, Derek, one of my shirts that I bought from you is the Batting Average Matters shirt. I do love batting average.
Yes, I agree.
There's just something satisfying about seeing somebody come up to the plate hitting 300. Daniel Deshevsky says, is there a way we can move Stanton without having to give up a Judge or a DJ the same way the Sox got rid of their David Price contract by giving Mookie with him? I mean, you'd have to include a big-time prospect. You'd have to include a Luis Medina or somebody like that. Somebody that you don't want to give up, that's going to hurt to give up. Daniel Deshevsky also says, thoughts on Estevan Floria? I liked his at-bats, and he's a much-needed lefty. So he's actually been raking at AAA recently, if you've been watching. He's adjusted his stance. So he used to lean the bat back at almost a 45-degree angle a little bit at points during his stance. But from what I could tell, it looked like the bat was slightly more vertical, more like Paul O'Neill-like, and that his knees had bent and he wasn't leaning backwards as much. Excuse me. And he's been swinging the bat really well. I like that he hits the ball well to left field. He's got good opposite field power. He also hits line drives, and he's fast. Andrew Thomasone says, do we need to hang a hot girl in front of Stanton when he runs the bases or something? That's pretty good. Fritz Walter says, Yankees are dying because they're relying on walks and home runs.
I wholeheartedly agree.
You know, Billy Beane invented Moneyball. Well, I guess he didn't really invent it. They say that Earl Weaver was doing Moneyball before there was Moneyball, and then to a degree, what's his name? Gene Michael was doing that as well in the early 90s. But Billy Beane really made a thing out of it. And how many times has Billy Beane won the World Series? 0. Now, the Red Sox, to be fair, do employ Moneyball to an extent, but they have a much more balanced team. They put a lot more emphasis on defense than the Yankees do. They have since 2004. Lori C says, most of the Astros, I like the spelling, are hitting 300. I mean, you know, I don't know what kind of trash cans they have in Houston these days, but I'm pretty sure they're going to give us a run for our money. Scott Fisher says, I miss Rod Carew and Tony Gwynn type hitters. Not only that, I miss Tony Gwynn as a man, as a baseball person. I recently watched on MLB Network the documentary about Ted Williams. I think it was called 406. And they spoke with Tony Gwynn. And I just forgot how likable a character he was. Hey, Justin Infante with the super chat. Let's go with the dono hype. Not a Yanks question, but a baseball question. Do you think we'll ever see another two-way player like Ohtani in our lifetime? I do. When you look at Ohtani and his value, he's adding value to the team from both an offensive and pitching perspective. That's why his WAR is, I think, something like 5 already. And the fact that he's proven that he can be that valuable means that there's going to be more guys out there like him. You know, he's not a unicorn. He's unbelievably good. But there's like, you know, Micah Owings came up with the, I want to say he came up with the Diamondbacks. He played for Georgia Tech. And he was a big-time DH at Georgia Tech, but he could also throw like 95 miles an hour. So the Diamondbacks drafted him as a pitcher. And when he came up to the big leagues, he could hit, and they would DH him occasionally. And they also would pinch hit with him, and he was a good hitter. But he only had like 8 or 9 career home runs, and he was like a 280 hitter. Shohei Ohtani has 32 home runs at the All-Star break. He's on pace for like 58 home runs. Miguel Batista says, Yankees don't want lefties because of the shift. I don't know if I believe that. I really don't. The shift does kind of kill them. But if you get lefties who can use the left side of the field, who can beat the shift, look at Jeff McNeil with the Mets. How he'll, like, when the Yankees shifted on him, he just slapped it down the third baseline like it was nothing. Didi Gregorius used to do that all the time. That's what the Yankees need. They need guys who will pull the ball out of the ballpark, but don't have to be driven by that ego of, I'm a home run hitter. They're fine taking a base hit to left field. That's the type of lefty we need. There's just not a lot of them out there. Scott Fisher says the Tony Gwynn one. So there is a Tony Gwynn MLB Network thing, but I don't think that I've seen it. I remember it came on, but my DVR like recorded 2 minutes of it or something like that, and then somebody started recording something else and it didn't get finished. And then I've never been able to find it. It might be on YouTube. I should look. Daniel Deshevsky says, I feel like the Yankees have held on to Frazier and Duhar and even Glaber too long and have lost their trade value. In 2019, you could have got a top 20 player for those type of guys. Not sure you could get anyone now. I agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Mateo Morano says, David Peralta to the Yankees, ? What, is he a lefty? I don't think he's lefty, right? I think I could be wrong on that, but I feel like he's a right-handed hitter. I could be wrong. I don't know him very well. Andrew Cianez says, thoughts on Trevor Bauer? I hope the allegations aren't true because Trevor Bauer was changing baseball and making it fun. But, you know, I tend to believe women. I tend to believe them. You know, there are women out there and there's men out there that will prey on rich people to get lawsuits or whatever. But this doesn't sound like that. And, you know, I hope it's not true. But if it is, then I want nothing to do with Trevor Bauer on baseball. And if it is true, he's going to pay the price too. I mean, that's the same thing that got Tupac thrown in jail. Miguel Batista says, Cubs are ready to sell. Yeah, I agree. Futai says, so he is a lefty, David Peralta. So that's good. So yeah, I mean, take a look at him. Any lefty that can hit is worth taking a look at, except for Armando Gomez says, should the Yankees give Eaton a chance? Adam Eaton. I mean, he got DFA'd for a reason. He hasn't been good in a while. He's basically Brett Gardner. You've already got Brett Gardner. So I don't think you need him. Martin Kalunga says, do you know the free agent class this year? Are there any lefties we can get to help the offense? I know Freeman is a free agent. I was looking at that. Freeman is a free agent. He's just old enough that I don't know what kind of contract he's going to get. But Freeman in Yankee Stadium, could you imagine? Could you imagine? Corey Seager, I believe, is a free agent. He's a shortstop. So if the Yankees did that, they would have to move Gleyber Torres or move DJ LeMahieu or move Luke Voit. But I would love to see them get a left-handed left fielder, a left-handed or switch-hitting center fielder, and then possibly a utility person who can switch hit or hit left-handed. And a good one. Like Tyler Wade he's actually looked decent this year at times. I still think he's kind of, I don't think he's the greatest base runner, even though he's fast. I think he does a lot of bonehead things on the bases. So I would rather get somebody who's kind of, a little bit, just a veteran who's a good hitter, doesn't need to be super fast, can make the plays, is head in the game. Conforto is a free agent. I would love to see Conforto. Is Schwarber a free agent? Did he sign a 1-year deal? Could you imagine Schwarber as a DH with the Yankees? I would love Conforto, and he's already in New York, so he can do it in New York. I love the idea of Conforto. Danny, I think we've settled. I think the fan base,
I hardly agree.
I think the fan base wants Conforto. How you guys liking this layout? I heard a few people say they enjoyed it. I tried to come up with something a little bit new that I can reuse on everything. I can use it for post games, and I can use it for just like late night talks. And I wanted something that was nice and simple. And then I have this lower left-hand corner here, so if I wanted to add a player reel, I can. And if I wanted to pull up, an actual video, I can do that too. So, I mean, we can go to video. So there's a lot of things we can do with this. Hey, I think we got a super chat here. Miguel Batista, thank you once again. Says Gleyber and prospects for Jose Ramirez. Oh, what's Jose Ramirez doing OPS-wise this year? I've always liked his swing, but I feel like he's been kind of up and down in recent years. But he's a good swing. He's got a good swing. He would do well at Yankee Stadium. Johnny Gonzalez says, get Javi Baez. Again, right-handed hitter. I don't think that we need another righty. I really don't. Scott Fisher says, Yankee Stadium was built for lefty hitters. It's insane that mission control in the front office can't see that. 1000% agree. Lori C says, Super Chat is looking good. Nice job. I appreciate that. Let's see. We got the Lori C. Super.
Lori C. Payer of the light bill.
By the way, I think I forgot to do the dono hype a few minutes ago. So we're going to go ahead and give that. I always hate when I forget. I get caught up in answering the question and I forget to do the dono hype. And I can't remember, whether I want to do it before or after, because I always, I mix it up. So I just got to get into a rhythm there. Martine Kalunga says, imagine Craig Kimbrell a Yankee. I've never liked Craig Kimbrell, but, he's got some good stuff. THD wants Seager. I'll take both Seagers, honestly. Arbin Shez says, are you making a trade deadline video for just the Yankees or the whole MLB? I thought about doing one for the Yankees. I've already made a couple of Yankees videos. I think I might do a trade deadline live stream, like the final hour of the trade deadline, and just put on MLB Network and just kind of watch with you guys. I thought that would be something fun to do. That's what I'm considering. Lafayette says, do you see Sanchez getting a long-term deal after arbitration years? I hope not. We need Wells up. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Sanchez is limited as a catcher over the next few years. I mean, he's okay this year, but catchers generally don't age well, and he's not one that's going to age well because he wasn't a great catcher to begin with. Yadi Molina is a different story. But Sanchez can hit now. I mean, he's slumping a little bit lately, but I could see him as a good DH. So I don't think they'll sign him to a long-term deal, but I do think they'll keep him around for a little bit. Or they might trade him. If the Yankees fall out of it this year and they decide to sell, I could see Sanchez being somebody ideal. Danny Corner says, Derek, thoughts on life? Oh, man, that's a tough one. It's taken forever. Arbin Shez says, is Austin Wells a lefty? Yes, Austin Wells is a lefty. Martin Colunga says, wait, are Gibson and Berrios the only pitchers available at the deadline? I'm sure there's lots of guys available. It's just going to be a matter of, what Brian Cashman's looking for. THC says, Austin Wells is our future catcher. Sanchez is just not good. So I want to be fair to Gary Sanchez. I think he's been better this year. He's definitely turned it on offensively lately, and his catching has been better. It's been improved. It's still not great. It's still not elite. But Austin Wells is a lefty. I say get him up here as soon as you can. He's not exactly tearing it up in the minors, though. He's doing okay. Mateo Morano says, Derek, are you going to bring in, are you going to be only Yankees or bring in some other MLB content to the channel? Undecided. I think I'm probably going to stick with Yankee stuff because that's pretty much all I care about. And I don't want to do stuff that I don't really care about. Like, I don't care what's going on with the Brewers. I just don't give a shit. So it's pretty much probably going to always be Yankees, but it's going to be different types of content. So you're always going to get some kind of a morning show now. I love doing the morning show. When I go full-time, that's going to be my main event. I'm going to try and do the morning show for 20 to 30 minutes and just do a really good morning show. The pregame show is going to get better. This layout is going to probably stick around, but I'm going to add in some other functionality. I'm going to get a better camera. So I could switch to I have a 4K camera that I can use, but my internet sucks. So once my internet gets fixed, I'm going to go back to my actual camera. I might upgrade even to a better camera. I'm getting a new microphone. And I'm going to do more of that long-form conversation stuff, hopefully, in the future. Right now, it's tough to get interviews. I don't have anybody booking interviews for me. And I'm not big enough and well-known enough yet that people are just dying to come on. And people don't always respond when I invite them on. I invited Jake and John Boy both multiple times to come on, and they haven't even replied. And I get it. They're busy. I've invited Yes Network personalities to come on. They're busy. So right now I'm just basically talking with other content creators. But as it gets bigger, people will have no choice but to come on because of the reach that it will have. So I want to do more long-form conversations. And I want to do more of those long Frieze-type episodes that you saw posted after the game today. They won't come up immediately after the game. It's usually going to be 15 to 20 minutes after the game. Sometimes maybe an hour. But it'll be worth it because it's going to be good. And people will stick with it. And it'll be a moneymaker, so it'll generate revenue. Now, I still want to do live streams, but as a one-off thing like this or as a pregame. So that's kind of what the long-term plans are. Arbin Shez says, imagine getting Seager Bros in Yankee Stadium. That would be awesome. Borg, holy cow. He says, have you ever heard of Out of the Park Baseball? I've been playing Out of the Park Baseball since OOTP 6. I remember, it's one of the most satisfying things to draft a player in that game. And for those of you who don't know what Out of the Park Baseball is, it started as a text-only baseball game where it was all driven by stats and data and simulations and all this stuff. And you basically take control of a franchise, but it's got every detail. It's got other leagues and other fictional players and other real players. And you basically hire and fire staff and manage your finances. It's the most addictive thing in the world. You can just leave it running. In fact, I'm gonna buy that for my Mac because I've been looking for some stuff to put on my iMac. I'm definitely gonna get that. I haven't gotten this year's version. I haven't actually gotten the last couple, but I was playing that for years. So shout out to you, Borg. Daryl Leon says, we need a real trade Cashman for Theo Epstein. So Theo Epstein was on the R2C2 podcast a day or two ago, I think. Maybe it was even today. And I haven't watched the whole thing yet, but he's just an interesting guy. Mateo Morano says, sub to Derek.
Yes, I agree.
Appreciate that. Joe TZZ01 says, favorite Yankees announcer, love John Sterling. Love everything John Sterling does. And it's funny hearing him how frustrated he is announcing the game from a monitor. Yesterday, he called a home run on a replay. He says, "It is high, and it is far, and it is gone." Oh, it was a replay. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do? It was a replay. Hey, it's on the monitor. That's baseball, Susan. That's what he did. It was hilarious. Limitless says, I'm surprised you never played MLB The Show. I've been playing MLB The Show since 2006 when it came out, the first MLB The Show. I've owned every MLB The Show there is. I think I've got one right here. Hang on. I've got the Aaron Judge MLB The Show. Trying to get the reflection there. That's 2018. That was a really good one. And then I've got this Derek Jeter MLB 2K7. That's one of my all-time favorites, too. I think I've brought these out on a podcast before. Borg wants to do a Yankees rebuild in OOTP. That would be fun. That's actually a really, really good idea. Derek, can you make MLB The Show contact? That would be great. You mean content. So I have another channel. It's linked to my channel. It's called STREAMSKI Gaming. And I do post MLB The Show footage on occasion. It's only got 64 subscribers, so nobody watches that. But it's something fun that I do. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. Sorry that the Yankees got demolished today. That was a rough day. But I appreciate you guys all taking the time to air your grievances. Quick word from our sponsor, and then the Patreon shout-out. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right.
Gentlemen, flip-flop season is upon us, and you're out here with these post-pandemic toenails. Come on. Don't worry, our friends at Manscaped have you covered. They just launched their 4th generation performance package and their Shears 2.0 nail grooming kit. Join the Manscaped movement by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code NYY Recaps. The Performance Package 4.0 includes the new Lawnmower 4.0. This trimmer will change the way you approach your grooming routine. Also, if the power grid goes out in Texas again, you can use your Lawnmower 4.0 to illuminate the way with this LED spotlight. Forgot to mention this trimmer is waterproof, so you can trim in the shower and not worry about your cleanup on aisle D. Once again, visit manscaped.com and enter the code NYY Recaps at checkout. That's all one word to get 20% off and free shipping.
Yo, all rise, gunning for the winning position. No kidding, I'm bringing the venomous sound when I'm around. It's the power like cold, throwing the figure ball, leave you with smoke. Don't you know, no slacking when the cracking hits.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. If you really enjoyed it, check out the swag section. We've got tons of great designs to support all your favorite Yankees. And if you simply cannot get enough Yankees content, check out the podcast version of this channel, The Frieze by NYY Recaps, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Derek. Thanks for watching.